I'm Brian Carpenter, host of Fresh Air at 5, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Hello, empowered principals. Welcome to episode 384.
Welcome to the Empowered Principal Podcast, a not-so-typical educational resource that will teach you how to gain control of your career and get emotionally fit to lead your school and your life with joy by refining your most powerful tool, your mind. Here's your host, certified life coach, Angela Kelly.
Well, hello, my empowered principals. Happy Tuesday and welcome to the podcast. I have a very near and dear friend to my heart as our podcast guest today. You have heard her lovely voice before. This is Jena Damiani, and she is a friend. She is a client, and she is a soap maker, by the way. And she's also a life coach. So we are going to talk about all the things. You're going to get a sneak peek into our innermost conversations today. We just decided to jump on and share all of the tea with y'all today. So Jena, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
And there's a special reason why I had Jena on today. We didn't just decide to chat with you all. Jena is a certified life coach for school leaders, and she specializes in weight loss. And we're going to talk about that today because I know for me personally, Jena, when I transitioned from teaching into school leadership, I gained over 20 pounds. And that was something I never saw coming. I did not have a struggle with my weight as a teacher. I didn't use food to comfort myself as a teacher. I'm kind of thinking back in real time here. Like, I taught kindergarten. We had some pizza. We would have birthday cake. So I had snacks around. I always had snacks in my room, but I wasn't going home and eating my stress away, or I didn't recall really being attached to food. But something shifted when I got into school leadership. The stress went up, the volume went to volume 10, and I think I was numbing out a little bit there. So can you speak to us about this? So you're a client of coaching, you are a coach, you're certified and trained as a coach, so you have the capacity to see both ends of this, and you're in school leadership. So can you just enlighten us on what's happening when we go into school leadership and we start diving into the sweets, the treats, maybe the wine?
Maybe the wine. It was not a maybe for me, but yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. So just really quickly to share my experience in terms of weight transitioning from teacher to principal. I had a little bit of a different experience. I won't take you through my entire history, but I had my third and final child, and I was off for a year on maternity leave. I was still a teacher at the time, and I got into the best shape of my life, and I felt strong and healthy. And then I went back to work, and life kind of hit me, and adulting and all the things. And so I started to gain the weight that I had worked so hard to lose over the year that I was off. And then when I transitioned into school leadership, my bad eating habits kind of just went with me into that leadership role, but it emphasized it. Mm-hmm. And you know how everybody always says when you go to college, you gain the freshman 15.
Yes.
And I don't know if this is a thing or if my friends and I are just that clever that we came up with it. I don't know. But we were it's the admin 30 because I gained 30 pounds.
Yes.
Rapidly in a year. My first year of leadership, I gained 30 pounds. It sounds like you gained maybe 20, and it feels like it happens overnight. Of course, we know it doesn't, but I broke down some reasons why I think that happens. So if you're ready, Angela, I say, let's start talking about.
Yeah, I want to dive into this because it feels like it happens to you, first of all. And it feels like it happens overnight, which we know it doesn't, but our minds tell us that. And I also think it's a slippery slope. I feel like once you start on the path, it feels so much more difficult, like mentally, to get out of the loop. And so I would love to personally hear what your thoughts are on this, because I'm not, I don't think about weight loss. I don't solve that problem for school leaders. And that's why I wanted you to come on today, is to help us with this, because I do think a lot of people struggle physically with their physical health. And then there's body image, on top of that, and how they're feeling about themselves. And this just kind of spirals down. So I do think it's a very important topic for school leaders, because if we want to be in our most empowered state, that matters physically, mentally, and emotionally. And I think this is a component that we haven't really addressed, at least here on the Empowered Principal podcast.
Yeah, I'm happy to. Because to all the principals out there, it is a hard job, but it is necessary. And I truly believe anybody who's out there in a principal role is there because they want to do good by their community, support teachers, students, all the things. But you can't do that if you yourself aren't taking care of, if you're not healthy. So thank you, Angela, for the opportunity to talk about this, because I am very passionate about it.
Yes.
So because that's a good point. I've kind of been on both sides of it. I have also lost 30 pounds. So I lost my admin 30. I have some more weight to lose from weight I gained before I became an administrator. But, I try to, with my students, break things down as simply as possible. Kind of like what we do when we're teachers, right?
Yes.
And so I was able to pinpoint basically the top 5 things. Before we can solve a problem, we have to know kind of how we got here. So these are the top 5 things that I would say is what makes it so easy to gain weight when you're in a leadership role. So without further ado, I'm going to start with the first one. Angela, are you ready?
Okay, let's go.
None of these principles is going to be shocking, but I think it's important to take a step back and really recognize what you experience in a work day. And so the first thing is you are in a high stress environment. That's not to say that there isn't some stress with teaching, but I'm sorry, it is not at the same level as when you're a leader. So the fact that you go from teaching in your one room of whatever, some hundreds in a school, right? You are now in charge of the entire school. So it's like constant decision making, constant discipline issues. Staff always need you, unexpected problems you can't ever anticipate. And, that in and of itself leads to emotional eating, which is the reason why we gain weight. But the reason we're eating is because of all of the things that we are now having to suddenly deal with that we did not have to deal with before. And no matter how good your principal certification program was, nothing really prepares you for the role. Would you agree with that, Angela?
Like 2000%.
Yes.
Like if there's theory and then there's what happens with boots on the ground, and it is not the same. You cannot theorize your way through a day, a week, a year of school leadership. You can't.
No. And, it is perfectly normal when you are feeling stressed to want to eat. It's honestly a very easy way to calm your body. Food is very easily accessible. And that's certainly what I turned to. And the interesting thing was that I would work the entire day and not eat because I was just, doing all the things whatsoever. And I wouldn't eat at all during the day. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to lose weight in this job. I'm not even eating during the day. And that couldn't be further from the truth, because then I'd go home at night, I'd eat dinner, but then I'd be snacking or having the wine at 10, 11 o'clock at night, which is not going to lead to abs, unfortunately. So I got in this habit of snacking and drinking in a way to unwind from this otherwise what I would describe as a grueling day, right? Before I really had all of the mental tools that you were able to teach me through your program. I would argue if you're overweight because you're stressed, you're actually quite smart. That's the way that our brains are wired to survive. So it's not that there's anything wrong with you.
No,
I don't really know anybody who loses weight moving into an admin role, quite frankly. Do you, Angela?
I mean, the only people I can think of are people who, when they are stressed, their reaction is the opposite, which there are people out there like that. I don't think it's the norm, but there are people. But even so, I know there are situations in my life where I have lost a lot of weight quickly because I was under stress, but it was a different kind of stress. And in the school leadership role, for me personally, like, I like the way that you said this, because coming home to the food, I was the same way. You go 100 miles an hour from the time you get there till the time you leave. You know, you're grabbing a Diet Coke or you're grabbing a granola bar or something. And then so you're thinking to yourself, I haven't eaten all day. But what I found is, like, after the nourishing meal if you have an actual dinner or a salad or whatever you eat for dinner, that's more nourishing. The snack, the wine, and for me, it was dependent on the day, if it was a gin and tonic or a glass of wine, but it was like, there was something that felt like comfort. It felt like I could relax, unwind, and it was safe to let go of the front that I had to put on every day, like almost the armor that I was wearing all day long, being strong, making decisions, being in boss energy, like going, and I had this armor on and I could finally take that weight off of the school day and sit by my fireplace and just look at the fire, sip my wine or watch a movie, whatever we were doing as a family that night. And it felt so warm and cozy and fuzzy, like a warm blanket wrapped around me, that I didn't look at it as overeating. I didn't think of it as giving my body something it didn't need. What my heart was saying and my mind was saying was, I need this more than anything else right now.
Yes, I deserve this. I honestly feel like I woke up one day 30 pounds heavier. I didn't realize it was happening in the moment. And I think that you so perfectly described why. It doesn't feel like even a bad habit in the moment. It's like, I deserve this. This is what I need. I worked really hard today, so now this is my time to unwind.
Yes.
And it feels good. It does take the stress off for a little bit. You do have a little escape for a moment in what you're feeling, especially, I've coached with you, Angela. We've been together for 6 years. Isn't that
I know,
crazy?
it's crazy, right?
But, I can't say enough about Angela. If you're a principal and you're not working with her, you need to be, because she's amazing. And I can't say enough about how much she's taught me and how much better I feel in being able to navigate emotions. And it's helped me beyond just the principalship, but absolutely. So this kind of leads into the second thing that I identified of why it's so easy to gain weight when you're a principal. And that is the nonstop schedule. So when you're a teacher, again, I'm not saying at all that teaching is easy. We know it's not.
Definitely not.
Right. But when you're a teacher, you have a contract time where you begin work and you have a contract time when you end work, and you don't have to work prior or after that for the most part. I mean, are there some exceptions if you have a meeting or whatever? Sure. But in the general day to day, you know when you're working, you know when you're not. Your weekends are free, your evenings are free. And you also have a scheduled lunch. You have a scheduled prep. A lot of teachers work under contract. So this is protected time through if you're part of a union. So, you kind of go from this very structured, predictable schedule, specifically with your time, to then you're an admin, and it really feel like you work 24/7. Your phone can ring at any time. There's expectations that you're checking your email. There's expectations that you're working evenings. There's no allotted lunchtime. You're often eating while you're doing something else just to get food in.
You're monitoring lunchtime is what you're doing.
Yes, yeah. Or like we already said, you're not even eating lunch at all. You're watching other people eat. And then the off chance that you have a couple of minutes, or if you're driving back from district office because you had a meeting and you're going back to your on-site building, you're driving through the fast food line because that's, the realistic thing in your mind to do because it's quick. You can get back to class. You can get back to the school. And that shift in schedule, I think, can create it such an easy way to gain weight.
So true. I did not even acknowledge until just now how often I ate out. 2 reasons now that I'm thinking of it. Number one, the fast food was for the speed, right? And I could eat it in my car between the fast food restaurant and the school. So there was no downtime. I would just shove it in. And I'm not even fond of fast food, but you get in a habit of it's easy, it's fast, it's convenient. You can expedite getting food into your system. But the other reason, now that I think about it, is it was kind of a midday treat. Like if I did eat lunch, it would be another form of like a little break or a reward or I deserve this, like sometimes my secretary would say like, hey, we're ordering the local taqueria. What do you want? And I'm like, oh, I'm good. And of course there would be like this whole tray of food at my desk. And of course I had to eat it because it was delicious. But
yeah. Well, see, now that's where I'm also different. There were no better words spoken than we're ordering out for lunch. Yes. And then I'd order like a cheesesteak and fries and I'd wonder, I just don't know how I gained all this weight. I can't believe it. Why am I not feeling well? I can't imagine why I'm not, it just, and this is funny because Angela, you don't have the list that I have, but everything that you're saying kind of leads perfectly into the next thing. Because reason number 3 of why it's easy to gain weight as a principal is because of this food-centered culture that we have in schools. Now, we already know this as teachers. There seems to always be treats in the office or in the teacher's lounge. And as a teacher, hey, listen, it can be easy to snack on those things and, have those extra calories. But again, you only have certain times during the day that you are off. And the rest of the time you're in your classroom, you're busy. Even if you're thinking about the cupcakes that are in the teacher's lounge, you can't go get one because you're teaching. Whereas, yes, as a principal, you can move around a lot more freely, but you have access to these treats all of the time. And it's very easy to start just grabbing all day long snacking. And usually it's not a veggie platter. Usually it's something along like donuts or cupcakes.
Creams.
Something sweet or something salty, typically not figure-friendly foods. And when we're stressed out and here's the other thing, I wouldn't have packed my lunch because I would wake up late because I'm tired, and then I'd
trying to get 3 children out the door.
Yes, that too. And if I'd be hungry and then I'd end up eating whatever food's around, which, there's always a birthday happening in a school. We know this. Someone's birthday is always occurring and there's always snacks.
Yes.
So then reason number 4, it is easy to gain weight as a principal, is lack of motivation. And I mean this with zero judgment, but you're working long hours. You're sitting in meetings. You're dealing with nonstop problems. The last thing I felt like doing when I got home after a day like that was putting on my sneakers and getting my rear end out the door to go for a walk or a run I don't run. Who am I kidding? But I didn't want to go exercise. That was the last thing on my mind when I got home. I certainly didn't want to wake up earlier than I already was and work out in the morning. So when I was in this cycle of overworking, not managing my emotions, eating and drinking when I shouldn't be at late at night, typically, I did not have the motivation to be able to change anything. I was in a very unfortunate cycle.
Was it because we thought we didn't have any more energy to give? I mean, when I would come home, I felt like there was no more energy to give to a walk or to even like the mental energy to like think about making healthy choices. It was kind of like I had hit my plateau of my capacity to be disciplined, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think for me, it was a little bit of like I honestly wanted to numb out a little bit. I think I wanted to like escape on social media, scroll on social media and escape whatever negative emotion I was feeling from the day, escape the stress. There's also the piece that if you have a young family, if you have children and they're in activities, you're also coming home, you're cooking your family dinner or you're cleaning up the dinner or both, or, somebody doesn't have clean underwear. So now you got to do laundry. Someone has soccer practice. So, there's also that piece where you work your full-time job, but then you also come home and you've got your family life to handle, which just makes you more exhausted.
Yes.
Really.
Yeah. And in that case, for me, that is true too. But I was a single mom. So when I was on the week that I had him, it was 100% on. And then I had the week that he was with his dad, this is when he was younger. Eventually he lived with me full time. But in the beginning, I was all or none. But even on the weeks where I was not, I was more socializing because I couldn't socialize as a single woman, when I had my son, because I was doing mom things, or we were doing Boy Scouts, and we were doing all of his events. And then the other week would be like my non-mom week where I was out. And that's when I would like go out for happy hour with girlfriends, or, go on a date, or, go to the movies with a friend or something to get out of the house and to be in that adult energy. And again, like you said, the culture at schools, and I think the culture in adults it revolves around like happy hours or going out for dinner. It revolves around food and drink. And that is how we are programmed, what we are programmed to believe is pleasure, would you say?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So it's like, it's the pleasure of the friendships and the outing, but it's also entangled with this pleasure of having a glass of wine or having appetizers and snacks. Or if you come home, grabbing the popcorn and the M&Ms. That's what we used to eat all the time. We would have popcorn and M&Ms together. We're watching movies, and that was on top of dinner.
The other thing you said, happy hour, and that made me remember that when I would do that as a principal, there was a comfort in commiserating with other admin who get it. Because there's also the other piece to this where you don't really feel understood, especially if you're a building leader who's the only leader at your site. You can feel lonely. And so when you're with others who can relate, or they know the people that you work with, and they can kind of like provide some sort of comedic relief for you, that is nice to have.
Yes.
But it is nice. But in the same breath, that with happy hour was not a good mixture for me, because I was just like,
it wasn't a net positive gain. You would go and it felt good initially. It's almost like when, eat candy or ice cream, like the initial feels good, but then like your tummy doesn't feel so good afterwards. And you're like, that was not a net positive. I felt like the times where I went out with colleagues, sometimes it was like I left energized and happy that I did it. But a lot of times what I think like commiserating is actually like net negative. It like pulls your energy down, and it confirms and it reaffirms that things are so bad and whatever. And we did it as teachers. We blah, blah, blah over happy hour as a teacher. And now as an admin, you don't go out as often with your admin. But when we did, it was the same thing, blah, blah, blah. And then you go home and it's like, ew, that just kind of felt yucky. It wasn't uplifting or inspiring or energizing. And now on top of it, I ate a bunch of fried cheese sticks and nachos or something.
Absolutely. Again, no one's getting the veggie platter at the.
No, you're getting margaritas. Come on. We're being honest on the Empowered Principal podcast.
Yes, we are.
Today.
We are being real. And then the fifth reason why it's so easy to gain weight as a principal, which is similar to the lack of motivation that we already talked about, is just the mental fatigue, the amount of mental fatigue. Like, everyone has experienced mental fatigue. But in my opinion, experiencing the difference between that in a teaching role versus that in a leadership role, I just wasn't prepared for the level that it was. And the amount of decisions that you make in a day, forget about willpower, forget about, wanting to stick to a healthy meal plan. You're just really looking for the comfort foods. And I was not prepared for the level that I would experience with that. And the other piece, which we've kind of already said, is that other principals are experiencing the same thing as you and are doing the same things as you. So as I look back and reflect, a lot of I loved the people that I have worked with, both as a teacher and as a principal, but we didn't really necessarily help each other out because we both were kind of having the same problems and solving the problems the same way, because we just didn't know any other way to do it.
Which made it more comfortable for you to do it in that way. Yes. So if other people were eating and drinking and you were eating and drinking, it normalized the behavior, and it didn't call out the habit. It actually kind of confirmed it. What's the word I'm looking for? Like when it just solidified that.
Confirm. Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of the behavior that is normal.
It felt very normal. And we all gained weight, and it was just kind of for a moment, I was just accepting that this is just how it was. And I was settling for, oh, well, this is what I signed up for. I want to be a principal. So, I'm going to
This is the price you pay.
Yes. And it's such nonsense. But I was subscribing to that for a period of time before I learned better. Those are the 5 reasons it's easy to gain weight. But then I also identified 5 reasons it's hard to lose weight. Can we transition to talk?
Yeah, let's transition, because I hope there are 5 ways why it's easy.
There are, but we're going to start by talking about why it's hard. We're going to normalize why it's hard, because too many people take these 5 things that I'm going to tell everybody and they make it mean that they somehow, it can't be done. They can't, that they're just have to settle. And there's no rule on what number has to be on the scale or what size clothing that you're wearing. Every person decides that for themselves. But I can tell you that I will look in the mirror 30 pounds heavier and I didn't recognize myself, or I'd see a photo of me. You do have your photo taken fairly often in a leadership role. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, is that what I look like? It didn't feel right to me. It didn't feel right. And I didn't feel good. I really did not feel good. I was pretending like everything was fine. And I was putting on a happy face for my colleagues at work and even my family. But there was something inside that I knew this was not what I wanted. And so I feel like a lot of principals are in this boat where you maybe are past the point where we just kind of talked about how you kind of go unconscious and you gain all this weight. You don't even realize it. Like that's kind of like stage 1. Then in my opinion, stage 2 is kind of when you have the realization like, okay, whoa, I gained this weight. I don't really want this weight on my body. And now this stage is where principals try to lose weight and typically fail at it. So here are, again, I take the 5 things from doing the job, from coaching other people. These are the 5 reasons, top 5 reasons why it's hard to lose weight as a principal. So the first one is lack of time, because in our roles, something always feels urgent. And 100%. The first thing that we tend to put to the side when something seems urgent is our own agenda, our own priorities. So that could be things from meal prepping to exercise or any kind of self-care, even if it's, I'm going to commit to giving myself 15 minutes of time to eat my lunch. That can very easily be just pushed aside when a teacher shows up in your doorway and thinks that they have an emergency.
Exactly.
And so the truth is that, of course, there are times where it is urgent, it is an emergency, and we have no problem not eating in that time. There's a fire in the building, you're obviously not going to keep eating your salad. Obviously. But 99.9% of the time when someone comes to you with what they think is so urgent, it really isn't urgent at all. It might be urgent to them, but it doesn't mean that they can't wait 10 minutes or whatever the circumstance may be. So it's this thought that you don't have the time and that you need to respond to all of the other people's what they deem as urgent. I'm sure you can remember this, Angela.
Oh, yes. It's the idea that your lunch time is less important than whatever's walking in the door. And you don't want people to feel bad to think that your lunch is more important than them. So whatever you're eating, it should be put to the side because it's less important than the person in front of you. And look, as a coach for school leaders, if that's your style and that's your approach and it works for you and it feels good, that's one thing. However, if you're not feeling the way you want to feel in your body, and part of it is that you're not able to eat all day or you're consistently munching because you don't sit down and have a 15, 20-minute window to eat something that feels nourishing and fulfilling to your body, then it's time to look at what is it in my mind that's making me believe I don't have 15 minutes in my day to prioritize my lunch. I mean, this sounds like such a minuscule thing to think about as a leader, but it has a massive impact on your identity, on your body image, on how you feel about yourself, on yourself, just your self-efficacy in you as a person and you as a leader. It's these little things that gnaw at us, and without awareness, you find yourself 30 pounds heavier, or you find yourself fatigued all the time, or you find yourself kind of in this low grade, like dissatisfaction, and you're not sure how to put your finger on it, but it's because there isn't a time and a space where you are the priority or your lunch is the priority. And if you can't be the priority for 15 minutes a day, what does that mean about who you are and how you feel about yourself and what you believe about yourself and what you think? And so it really is much bigger than, I should be polite to the person who's coming in while I'm eating my salad. It's so much more than that, Jenna.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's a mindset shift, right? Because if we've been telling ourselves all this time that the minute this is my favorite, the open door policy. We've been telling ourselves that we have an open door policy. We somehow make that mean that we can't have simple requests like a 10-minute lunch to ourselves where we can close our door and we're not interrupted for 10 minutes. It's somehow we get it twisted. In an effort to want to do well, we sometimes sabotage our own health.
Yes. I'm just going to say it. I hate open door policy. Stop it. Renegotiate that with yourself. Here's the deal. This is a side note, but I have to say it because I can't stand it. When you decide to communicate when it's best to reach you, when can teachers reach you? They can reach you before school and after school. They can reach you probably at their lunchtime, which may be your lunchtime. And then they try to reach you at their recess time or their prep break or whatever. Now, they are going to come at you at all times of day if you don't say, this is the best time to reach me. And these are like my office hours, or this is the time where if you want to drop in, if you have something that's less than 15 minutes, you can drop in from this time to this time. Designating times for drop in versus a 24/7, 365 open door policy. Because if you think about what that means, open door policy means I'm a doormat. Please come in and walk in through my door at whatever time, whatever you need, whether it's relevant or not, whether it's an emergency or not, and let me just set aside my entire life to serve you. That is not an empowered principal. And to be honest with you guys, teachers don't like it. They want to know, when can I come and actually get your attention? So I don't have to watch you eating your salad, or I don't have to feel like I'm putting you out. It's much better to tell people this is when you can reach me. And the fact that you give yourself 15 minutes to eat a lunch before you go in and do lunch duty, or before you go out to recess, or before you go to that meeting, or whatever you're doing with the rest of your day, it indicates to your brain and to the people that you're leading that you have standards and boundaries. It sets a precedent, not just for you, but for them. It's for the greater good. Just trust me on this.
Yeah.
I know it sounds silly, but it really does change the energy, and it changes the interactions that you have with people on your campus. Sorry for that. I didn't mean to rant off, but
No,
it's value this so much, because you're never going to eat lunch if you have a true open door policy. Never. Because they know to get you at the lunchtime.
Yes. Well, and it'll make it that much harder for you to lose weight. The other thing that I underestimated, because with Angela being my coach, she coached me on this. And so I was working on building in this time for myself within the day. And what I realized is that teachers are watching, and it gave them permission to really just enjoy their lunch and not feel like they have to, stop eating because a parent emailed and, they have to respond right away. It really modeled the healthy boundaries that in theory everyone should have, but some of our teachers that are similar to us in terms of they're just wanting to work and, help, and they're having a hard time kind of turning it off and prioritizing themselves. By you modeling that, it is also helping your staff. So it's like a double win.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You need to give everyone permission to take 15 minutes to themselves. It maintains the sanity, people. It really does.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
A little goes a long way.
So then the second reason why it's hard to lose weight as a principal is that we tend to have all or nothing thinking. A good quality of educators is that we strive for excellence, but that can work against us when it comes to losing weight, because we don't see results immediately. It's something that we have to have consistency over a period of time to really see results. And so because of that, we think the minute that we can't or don't do something perfectly, it kind of becomes like an afterthought. Like, well, I can't pack my lunch every day because I, only did once this week. And then we kind of just move on and go back to our comfort foods and happy hours. But at the same time, we're still in some emotional pain because we do want to lose weight. We do want to be healthier. And then that's leads into number 3 of why it's hard to lose weight, the emotional overload, which we've talked already about this. But when you're dealing with students in crisis, when you're being told that staff morale is down, when you're sitting in a district meeting and they're laying out their expectations of you and you're, feeling just very overwhelmed and wondering to yourself, how am I going to do all the things? That's going to lead to stress eating and drinking. That's how we got overweight to begin with. We've got to break that cycle. We have to be able to respond to stress in a different way. But until you have the skill set to do that, you can learn. Anyone can learn. But until you learn the skill set, that emotional overload makes it really hard to lose weight.
It's tough because emotional regulation, emotional maturity, and expanding our capacity to feel our emotions instead of what we call buffer them or suppress them or avoid them and try to just circumvent them. When you can lean into an emotion, even if you just do it for a minute and you say, I'm really disappointed with today. Like today, there was a big disappointment, or I was really discouraged, or, oh, we missed the mark. We wanted to, we didn't hit our target scores, or our attendance is down, or just something horrible happened to a student or a staff member. And you're feeling the weight of that and the responsibility of that as a leader. Look, when you go into school leadership, you don't drop your emotions at the door. Like when you're a teacher, you feel all the feels for the kids. That backpack comes with you. You can't detach yourself emotionally. You're still a human in the leadership position, but there's more emotion coming at you. You're holding space for teachers and staff and families and community and your district administrators and yourself. And then you go home and then you have your own family and your friends and your children and your parents and all of that. So it's this gentle, like stretching. It's like when you're doing yoga and you're gently stretching your muscles to stretch a little bit more and handle a little bit more. It seems to me like that's what, Jena, you're saying is this emotional bandwidth is an art. It's a skill. It's a practice that we do, like yoga. Like you never perfect yoga, but you practice it daily. Just like with eating, we can practice feeling a little bit more and not eating as like a reaction to our emotions, even if we just hold off for 5 minutes. And, I used to play this game where it's like, I'm going to wait 5 minutes for the wine. And I would say 50% of the time, I kind of passed, the urge passed. And I was like, actually, I'm okay now, because it was like, well, the feeling's still there and it passed. Other times after 5 minutes, if I still really felt the urge, I was like, I'm still going to choose to drink tonight. But it felt different. It felt like I was in control more than it was happening to me. And it was out of my control. And I was just, eating the popcorn or pouring the wine or whatever. Does that land at all with, what you teach your clients?
Oh my gosh, yes. Absolutely. And I can totally relate to with just my own experience for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So we just, we're here to let you know, guys, emotions are the hardest thing you do.
Yes.
And if you are responding to, reacting to your emotions with food, you are not alone at all. And it's normal because it's such a comfort. And we don't always nail emotional bandwidth. Sometimes we are at our capacity. And it's okay if you have a night where you give in to that urge. You're human. It's normal. We've got you. And as Jena said, it's not all or none. It's not about perfection. It's about creating awareness.
Well, that's how you really get anything to change. You have to be aware of it first before anything can change. So I hope that even if just one person listens to this podcast and has that light bulb of, oh my gosh, if you have that moment of feeling like they are reading my mind, and you're already better off than someone who's still unconsciously snacking and staying up too late to try and numb out from the day, because that means that you've now become aware. And once you're aware of something, then you can take action to change it if you want to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Good. Okay, keep going. I love this
I have
list.
2 more things. Yeah. So the fourth thing that makes it hard to lose weight as a principal is if you don't have something that is a habit, something that you know how to do and that you use for time management. Because the truth is, schedules are always changing. You've got your personal life combined with your work life, and there will always be something happening when you're a school leader. That's not going to go away. And if you don't have a tool to be able to manage your time, then forget being able to have structured meal plans or to plan your meals or to plan your workouts. All of that's going to be so much more difficult. And a lot of the people that I work with, when they come to me, once they get this kind of down pat, they see a lot of weight loss results. So don't underestimate having something to do with time management. And I know that I thought I was so good with time when I first started working with you, Angela. And I remember that you coached me many times on my time management. So you remember those days, don't you?
Yes. We were co-designing like the ideal time management, because there's 2 parts of time management, by the way. There's your relationship with time, your thoughts and your feelings around time. There's the relationship you have with time, and then there's the execution of the planning. So there's 2 components of that. We talk about that in EPC, but with Jena, Jena was one of my very first principals, you guys. So she's near and dear to my heart, but yeah, we were co-creating a relationship with time in combination with the execution of how she planned her time and prioritized her time, but also constrained, right? Like not trying to make everything a priority and not trying to solve everything all at once. So it was a work in progress.
That's so nice of you to word it like that. But
yes.
But look at the strides that I've made. Look at me now.
Yes. You're a prodigy.
I can have 2 businesses and still work full time and have 3 kids.
I just want to say that, did you hear what she just said? She went from not being able to manage her time, so she said, which she did do beautifully, by the way, but she has 3 children at home. She works full time as a principal, and she's running 2 businesses, and she's married, which is another full-time job.
I promise you, I'm very normal.
And her husband is in school administration, right?
Yes, Jena? He's a principal too, and I love to sleep 9 hours. I don't typically get 9 hours, but if I could, I would. And on the weekends, I love to sleep in. So I'm not like somebody who's only sleeping 4 hours a night. Okay, Angela, this last one, I saved the best for last.
Okay, tell us.
Because you have taught me so many things over the past 6 years, but I would say this is probably one of the best tips or best things you ever taught me that, not to sound cheesy, guys, but like truly changed my life. It's also a reason that if you aren't doing this, it can make losing weight really hard as a principal. It is if you don't plan fun.
Yes.
And I remember, Angela, you said to me, or actually, maybe it was even one of your podcasts. It may have been both. I know you coached me on it. You said to me that I shouldn't wait for fun to find me, that I have to go create the fun.
Yes.
That was my first year as a principal, and a few days later, it was my school at the time did a Halloween parade. I was leading an elementary school, and so I purchased this blow-up unicorn costume that everyone thought was so hysterical. And so all the kids came to school in their costumes, and we did a parade on the school grounds. And there was a student, I'll never forget it, who was a blow-up dinosaur. And the school it was a very long hallway, and he was at the end of the hallway, and he started running to me. So I started running to him, and somebody played music. I don't even know how that even happened. Music started playing, and we danced together. It's such a fun memory now, looking back.
Yeah.
But there's a very simple example of, I wasn't even going to dress up for the parade. I went from in this cycle of, again, I was coming from a good place. I was trying. I wanted to be a good leader. I do all the things, but I was, quite honestly, I was burning out, right? And gaining weight at the same time. And you said that to me. And that night I ordered the costume on Amazon, put it on, and then I had the most fun that I've ever had probably, and since I've been a principal, it was just such a fun day. And so that is the truth in all the things that are happening in school leadership. The last thing probably on your mind is planning something fun, but don't underestimate it, because if you're not having fun, it's probably really hard for you to lose weight.
What's the point?
What's the point? If you're not having fun, you're probably stewing in the stress, in the problems. That's not to say those things are going to completely disappear. They aren't. It's learning how to have those things in your life as a principal and still have fun. And it feels like you can't have both, but Angela taught me you actually can.
Yes. Oh, I love that. It's such a good way to end. Because here's the truth. Fun is not coming through the door. You know what I realized? I remember thinking, I'm in the big leagues now. It's time to get serious. And I got very rigid and very serious. And I didn't have time for silliness. And I didn't dress up for a while either. And you know what? My job was not very fun at all. I was being too serious. I was taking things too heavy, too seriously. And finally, actually, it was one of my colleagues that was just like, lighten up. What's happened to you? Like, you were so fun and now you're such a bummer.
Yeah. And maybe it's part of it is, I think, especially for females, it can feel like, in order to be taken seriously, maybe you need to.
That is part of it.
Not be as bubbly. You need to be a little more stern, or who knows? I mean, there's so many factors that are at play, but I am telling you, if you plan fun, watch how much better you feel. Watch how much less you think about food.
Yes.
Try principles.
This is so true, because think about this. The reason you're eating is you're seeking pleasure. The brain, the motivational triad of the brain is to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and make things as easy as possible. And if the only pleasure that you're giving yourself or allowing yourself is to eat when you get home, you're not even giving yourself the pleasure of lunch. And the only pleasure in your day is to snack at home all night. And there's no fun throughout the day or nothing pleasurable to look forward to. You will default to seeking that pleasure through food. And what I have found is when I'm doing things that are genuinely fun, or one of the things I love to do was make plans on a Wednesday night, midweek, have something fun to look forward to, because that anticipation of the fun is half of the fun, is the anticipation, and then do something on the weekend that's fun. Have some things you're looking forward to, and you'll notice a shift in how you feel, because we eat based on how we're feeling. Would you say that's true, Jena?
Absolutely.
I mean, there's a difference between the sensation of being hungry, like the actual sensation of hunger, and then the emotional vibration of I'm uncomfortable and I want to comfort myself with a little snack.
Yeah. Some chips. Some
salsa. A strawberry margarita, perhaps. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So, Jena, let's talk about weight loss for school leaders. I want to let the listeners know where they can find you, what's going on in your world of weight loss for school leaders, and tell them all the things. What's going on for you right now?
Right now, I have a program called 20 Pounds Down. I'm almost at my 2-year anniversary, which I can't believe.
Wow.
And so I know. So all of my students who have gone through the program have lost 20 pounds. The ones who have not yet gotten there are all at 17. That's the minimum weight that my clients have lost. I have 2 over 30 pounds. It's amazing. And so I want to create a group to go through my program, 20 Pounds Down, but that it's specifically geared for principals, led by a principal. So it's someone who understands what makes the job so taxing, who can teach you how to get out of that, cycle. It's built for real life leaders that,
yes,
I understand the long days and the high stress and the unpredictable schedules. And so I created a program around how I did it. Now it's 30, but at the time when I created the program, I had lost 20 pounds. Working full time, doing all the things that you were all doing. I'm no special unicorn. That was just my Halloween costume a couple of years ago. I'm a very normal person who's just trying to make it work like everybody else. The reason I say that is because if I can do it, I know anybody who wants to do this can do this. You just have to be shown the way. Weight loss is a skill, and like any skill, anybody can learn it. And
Yes.
so that's an exciting new development for me in my business. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. My business name is The School of Best Self. So Instagram handle is School of Best Self. You
We'll
can
drop
find me
that
there.
link in the notes for you guys. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I have a lot of free workshops and webinars that I've done that you can start to listen to if you want to learn more. And then if you'd like to join me, I would love to have you. But I also can't say enough about working with Angela in EPC and being with like-minded people who are doing all of the things that school leaders do. So I would like to offer something special, Angela. If
Yes,
I
we
may.
have a very special once in a lifetime offer for you guys. We were concocting this just before we jumped on, and we're so excited and so delighted to be offering. There's going to be a combination offer here for those of you who would like to join EPC. So this podcast is airing in May, and I believe, Jena, you can tell me the details. Your program, your summer program, is going to run June, July, August. Is that correct?
Yes, we start June 1st and we go through the month of August.
Okay. So it's a 3-month program for school leaders, 20 pounds down. I just think this is so magical of you to do, Jena. Like, I want to tear up thinking about it. So listen up, guys. For those of you who are interested in joining EPC in the fall, we will be opening back up, and we end on Memorial Day, and we take June and July off to reboot and recoup. And then we start back up in August. For those of you who sign up early, if you sign up before June 1st for EPC, the Empowered Principal Collaborative, and of course, we'll put the link to sign up for EPC in the show notes, Jena is going to let you attend 20 pounds down for free.
I hope you take us up on this. I would love to have you.
You're going to get a year of EPC and 20 pounds down for the price of joining EPC, because Jena is a miracle worker. And and let me tell you this, Jena is a one-on-one client. Jena is a client in EPC. So she's in EPC. She'll be your colleague in EPC, and we mastermind, and EPC this year has been epic. I cannot wait. And I actually am going to host an EPC session where we are podcasting as an EPC group, because I just think the dynamic is magical this year. It's been epic, that just the energy and the ideas that are coming and the support. Oh, it warms my heart. So Jena's in that group as well. And if you join before June 1st into EPC, you're going to get a full year of mentorship and coaching and support and masterminding, but you're also going to get 20 pounds down. I mean, an incredible offer. So Jena, can you tell us a little bit more about 20 pounds down? Like, how does it work and where would they sign up and all of that?
Absolutely. So if you are going to take us up on this offer, then you would sign up for EPC. And then Angela, I would then through your list, invite them for free to that. So that's what we'll do. That's how we'll work that.
Okay.
So the only thing that you would have to do is sign up for EPC, and then I will send you the information, the login information, all that good stuff for free for 20 pounds down. So 20 pounds down is a program. So it includes a course that you can access. It's through an app. You can, of course, use your laptop, but you can, download the app and listen on the go from your phone. And so it's a self-paced course. You get instant access. It's short lessons to teach you the skill of weight loss. I try to keep things as short and concise as I can. I mean, like all of you, I was a teacher before I was a principal, so I like to think I'm pretty good at teaching. So I'll teach you the skill of how to lose weight. So you'll listen to those lessons on your own time. And then in addition to that, we have a private Facebook group that you can join to be a part of, where you can always ask questions, share wins, connect with other people who are also working to lose the weight. I also have a weekly coaching call where you can come on the call. I do some teaching, but then you can also ask questions. I can coach you. It's really meant to make sure that I'm supporting all of my people in my group. So that's a little bit more about 20 pounds down.
Oh gosh, I love that so much. Thank you so much. Jena, thank you for your time today. Thank you for being on the podcast. It's going to change lives. I feel like it's going to save lives because without your physical health or your mental health, your emotional health, like you cannot be the most empowered version of yourselves. And we want you guys living the fullest life possible. We want you to enjoy your professional life and your personal life. And we want you to sleep better. We want you to feel better. We want you to be 20 pounds down so that you can be in the energy of empowerment and really just creating the memories of a lifetime and living the best experience possible. So Jena, thank you for being such an integral part of EPC and being here today on the podcast. I mean, I think this is like your third time on the show.
It is.
Is it?
It is, yeah.
Holy wow. We talked about her as a first-year principal, and then we talked about all of her growth. And now here she is, certified life coach. She has another business called the School of Sense, right? You have to follow her on Instagram. They are the cutest little gifts. You could get them for your teachers. You could get them for your peers, your colleagues. Darling. So check her out on Instagram, School of Sense. Shameless plug. I don't care. I love the soaps. She sent me some for Christmas. They are so cute. The packaging is crazy, but the scents are incredible. I love it. So anyway, you are a miracle. You're an angel. I love you. You're my friend, you're my colleague, and I just adore you to pieces. So thank you for all you do in the world, and I'll see you in EPC.
Thank you so much. Love you too, Angela. And I owe a lot of where I am in my life to you and all of the things you taught me.
Let's go celebrate together.
That sounds good. Thank you.
Take good care. All right, everybody. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next week. Take care. Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Empowered Principal Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and want to learn more, please visit angelakellycoaching.com, where you can sign up for weekly updates and learn more about the tools that will help you become an emotionally fit school leader.